Hey everybody, it's Eric from Support Adventure, and in this video I'm going to tell you about how tickets can come into the help desk and what is the best way to deal with them. So basically I'm talking about user-based tickets in this video, and it can be pretty crazy sometimes, with people calling in, emailing in, using a portal to submit tickets, all that sort of stuff. What's the best way to deal with that? Now, we all know that it can be chaos with, for example, I did a video about technician ring groups where, random calls go to random technicians at random times as one of our MSP worst practices. But what are the best practices actually? So I'm going to explore two models here that I think are the best practices. I will preface this by saying that this stuff is really for MSPs that have more than a few technicians. And I think that it turns to chaos when you have more than 5 or 10 technicians and you don't have a strategy like one of the ones I'm going to discuss here. So you want your clients to have the best service when they call, because what sets you apart from your competitors is what you've promised to them in terms of SLAs, in terms of what's going to happen when they enter the support process and how they're going to be treated on the phone. And I would say that the most important thing to guarantee and to strive towards is consistency here. And so consistency means that your brand has been marketed and you're their IT support, and they know if they email in a ticket that they'll get a response, and a certain type of response in a certain amount of time, and there'll be consistency in that. Or if they pick up the phone and call you up, there will be a certain amount of consistency in that experience. Now, so the non-ideal scenario, as I documented in the other video, is that they get through to a random technician at a random time who's doing random other stuff with their sort of random ticket. So they could call in and they don't know who they're going to reach, senior, junior technician. It's a ring group, and that person picks up and they were doing some other thing and who knows what, and they might be in whatever mood, who knows what, and the busyness of the service desk might be at varying levels, and basically this is the best way to guarantee that your clients will get an inconsistent experience, similar to when you have sort of a help desk where clients email in tickets and they get in a queue of unassigned tickets, and you have a swarm of technicians who are going and cherry picking tickets that they feel they can do out of the queue, and the ones that are quote unquote boring or quote unquote not urgent or quote unquote whatever are left behind by the technicians who are basically just told to work the queue. And there's nobody who basically is organizing who does what. It's like every man for himself, and they're told that they have to crush 13 tickets a day or whatever, 10, 15 or whatever, and they're looking for the low-hanging fruit that they can easily do. And the more complicated issues, the ones that are kind of like, I don't know, that they're just left behind. And so again, just like calling in and reaching a random technician, emailing in and that ticket being picked up by a random technician leads to an inconsistent experience. And I would say that the reason why you're probably getting more calls than emails, if that's the case, or you have more people than you would like calling in and causing a lot more noise on your telephones than you would like, is probably because they don't trust what's going to happen, what the response is going to be when they email in. So they actually want to be able to call and talk to someone right away and emphasize it's really urgent, or emphasize or get some sort of response immediately from somebody of how it's going to be dealt with. And so for these two issues of inconsistency of having tickets going to random technicians, there's two possible models how you could address this. The first one is tickets go first to a dispatch. So dispatcher is the person who is in charge of running the service desk and every ticket on it from a process-based perspective. So what this means is you set up a system and you set up various procedures based on when a ticket comes in, they have to make sure it has the correct information on it, that it's prioritized, that the severity of it is sort of, assessed, and that the technologies involved categorized according to the categorization, and that ticket, the urgency is assessed so that ticket gets dealt with by a technician who has the skills based on a skills matrix or their knowledge of the technicians and their levels based on the skills and the availability of a technician who can handle it. So dispatch is managing the technician's time. So this will happen both with the tickets that are emailed in or submitted via portal or called in. And both will reach a dispatcher who will then get it to a technician. Now, a lot of companies think that this is suboptimal because a lot of companies actually have run around and sold their clients that when they pick up the phone and call, then someone's going to help them immediately. But that means that they're going to, I've seen companies that have first level one ring group, and if they're all busy or no one answers, then it goes to level two, then level three, then management, and you get a random person with a random skill set who's doing random other stuff at other times, and the experience is inconsistent, and you get lots of complaints about this from both your staff and the clients because the staff are not able to consistently focus on work that they are assigned, and they can't go one task to another because the phone's always ringing and they have to answer it as part of their job, and they're distracted, stressed out, etc. when the service desk gets busy. And from the clients, because sometimes they might get Grumpy John in the server closet, who really is a brilliant project technician, but he's not so chipper and friendly on the phone when the phones overflow to him. And then another time they might get your new intern Mike, who is really eager to help everybody, really perky on the phone, but doesn't actually know how to troubleshoot and solve tickets that well. So yeah, dispatchers will be the gatekeepers to the technicians in the time, and they will also make sure that the tickets that are assigned to the technicians are moving along, that the ticket load between the technicians is distributed in a way that's somehow fair, and that basically the service desk has a certain amount of order to it, and that anything that the technicians can solve is taken off their plate and gotten to someone who can solve it. And they're constantly watching things called like SLAs, pushing the technicians along, following up if the technicians haven't put good notes on a ticket, what's happening with this, what's happening with that. And it just avoids with the technicians this one-man island syndrome where they just end up with tickets that maybe they can't solve, maybe they can solve, but they're not organized enough to organize their own time to solve it because they've got lots of other stuff that they deem more important. And the dispatcher will just take responsibility for holding the technicians accountable for what's assigned to them. Now, a lot of companies don't want a dispatcher answering the phone right away and being that person right away, because it leads to the sort of perception that when the clients call in, the first person I talked to couldn't help me. Right? Well, if you have a medical problem and you walk in the hospital, does the first person that you talk to know how to prescribe you the medicine? No, you have to wait to see the doctor. So the dispatcher takes that role. Anyways, if you walk into a restaurant, a big restaurant with 40 tables, does the first person who you talk to know how to cook your steak? No. But if it's a mom and pop restaurant or a small doctor's office in a village, it's fine. One person can do everything. But as you try to replicate that model and scale it, you need to put more order and more specialized roles to handle the intake. So that takes me to the next sort of role. If you don't want the first person who they talk to not be able to help them, then you need to get intake technicians or triage technicians. These are the people like, for example, in the emergency room or in the ambulance, paramedics, nurses and paramedics will know how to check your vital signs, know how to administer certain drugs which will calm you down or wake you up or whatever your medical condition is. If it's an emergency, they know the actions to take. They know the first steps in the process. So what you do in the IT industry is you have these people called intake technicians, and their job is to work and take first steps on the tickets. So let's say they do that for 15 minutes. So you've got a ring group of intake technicians, and you need to overstaff and front load the help desk with more than you need of these people so that when somebody needs their help, they're always available. And if you want the first person someone talks to be able to help them, then you have one of these people who are very good at customer service, very good at inspiring confidence in a consistent result when someone contacts your help desk to take the ticket, take the first steps. Maybe it's something that can be solved really easily. The notorious example would be a password reset or a permission issue. And, they just do that stuff. Maybe it's, did you try restarting your computer? Oh, no, it works now. Hallelujah. And, that old stuff. You need to have people who are good at customer service do that. And then if they cannot solve it after 15 minutes, half an hour, or 5 minutes, or whatever you set the threshold to, they pass it to dispatch. Then dispatch will look at the ticket, make sure they put good notes on it, make sure they've taken first steps, and make sure that they've managed to expect a consistent expectation with the client on how the process is going to go after that. And then dispatch can find someone who can actually do the job and finish it and take it home, take the ticket home, or at least take the next steps. So you can have triage technicians who are answering the phones. And I would recommend that, different models, like if all your triage technicians are not available, it goes to dispatch, and dispatch will put the ticket and assign it to the next available triage technician. But what I recommend strongly against is making your competent first line and above technicians answer the phone. The ones who actually have troubleshooting abilities, the ability to work on a ticket for an hour and do a result, don't have them answering the phone when they're trying to do other tickets. That's what we have seen generate more complaints than any other practice on the help desk with the MSPs we assign staff to and consult on their operations. So avoid that. There's other ways you could deal with an overflow of calls, busyness of the help desk. You could have the service where they call in and it's like, everyone's busy right now, but if you leave your number, you'll get a call back as soon as someone's available. Typical call center tactic that makes it a lot, because everyone hates waiting on hold, and a lot of MSPs would never dare subject their people to that. So either dispatch should pick up, or they should get a chance to call back or be played a message that reminds them that if it's not urgent, they can email in a ticket, because it's a lot easier to run a help desk if people email in rather than call, because when they email in, the ticketing system already has all their information. So you also need to put a vested effort into training your people, your clients, into emailing in tickets whenever possible, and provide them a guide of what they can expect when they do that. If you have an SLA, put that on a form, and make sure that you put workflow rules in your ticketing system, that if those SLAs on emailed and tickets are being breached, then someone like dispatch gets an email, stuff like that. And just make sure that no matter what you're doing, either if it's having a dispatch answer the phone, having a triage or intake technician answer the phone, or whether it's any sort of other variation that I've talked about, make sure, and emailing in tickets and portal stuff and schedule calls. It's really good to have a system like Calendly where people can book their own call on the help desk, and you have the dispatcher make sure someone's actually calling them at that time. And just make sure that whatever it is, you're giving a consistent result, and then your clients will be much happier. Because if you think of why you go to your favorite restaurant, it's because you know what to expect when you walk in there. You know that the wait staff will treat you with a certain respect, and you have every right to complain when they don't. And when you're putting more advanced technicians who are dealing with a number of more complex problems in the hot seat to answer the telephone whenever it rings and make it their responsibility, you're going to lead to inconsistent service, because, well, they're going to get stressed out. And different people deal with different stresses in different ways. So you need to design a system that's going to make your clients have an amount of consistency, and you need to make a promise to them, and you need to fulfill that, and you need to put in the systems to have someone like a dispatcher use a system and processes to hold people accountable to providing those responses. And then the role of the service desk manager on top of that is to deal with, look at the numbers from the bird's eye view and work on the system that's providing the result to the client, improve the documentation, improve the procedures that dispatch is following, improve the load balancing of intake technicians versus dispatchers versus frontline technicians, first line technicians, senior technicians, and the whole escalation policies, and seeing how systems escalation policies are working, and dealing with tickets and complaints from clients that fit outside of the systems that they have designed. So that's the service desk manager. And basically, I think if you implement these practices, your clients will be a lot happier, because they'll know what the deal is. And you need to make sure that it's congruent from when you sign people up, what's in the contracts, the sales team, and all that stuff. It all needs to fit together. into a cohesive and consistent picture. So I think I said the word consistent enough in this video. So if you've enjoyed this video and you want to have consistent gains on the structure of your MSP, or you want to see what sort of staff we can provide for your MSP at Support Adventure with our global recruitment efforts and our, being able to find you people to work remotely in lower cost areas at a great discount compared to hiring locally in English speaking countries, get in touch with us and we'll take the next steps and figure out if we should work together, because we've had lots of really bad clients who follow some of these worst practices that we've defined, and we've had lots of really good clients that have helped us help them, or that we've learned some of these good practices from them. We've helped them develop them. And if you want to be one of the good clients, we're always looking for more of those. We're always looking for more people who want to make an MSP that is a great place to work for staff, want to make an MSP that provides great service to clients, and we're here to have that conversation on how you can achieve that. So thanks a lot. My name is Eric, Support Adventure. Catch you later.